So I want to talk just a little bit about, I want to talk a little bit about circling windmills, because that is a technique that gets misunderstood a lot. And it's, I haven't really seen any videos on YouTube that did this technique correctly. So let me mention a few things about this. So we have a technique that is designed for being in a small space, you're being jammed up. Your back is against the wall. Your opponent is actually pushing you against the wall first, right? And then you're putting your hands up. Wait for a moment. You're putting your hands up as though to say, hey, what gives, right? And I wouldn't, by the way, do it that way. I would actually keep my hands, my elbows anchored more. Because the next thing, he's doing a straight punch with a step through. I see people doing this against a rear hand punch with a shuffle. It's not against that. It is against the step through. And you can read that in Mr. Parker's 1987 journals. It's right in there. He's very, very specific. So I was pushed against the wall. I'm here, and then he's punching me, and I'm going to do a heel palm right to the sternum or solar plexus as I'm doing an upward, outward block with my other arm. Right? Now, here is where the technique usually goes awry with people. What I would not expect is for my opponent, do the strike again, for my opponent to then keep his arm up here as though he was, you know, turned into stone, while I'm doing all these moves right here and relying on his arm to stay there. That is completely unrealistic. That's not what this technique does, and that's not what it's designed for. This technique has body manipulation in it. Come a little bit more from this angle so we get a better shot. So forget the push, go right into the punch, right? So I'm here, bam, I'm doing the heel palm to the sternum, right? From here, his arm, I would expect it to drop, right? He's either going to follow the pain, or I would expect something like that. He's either going to fight me with it, or drop his arm a little bit. The only thing I would, stay back a little bit so in the camera shot. The only thing I would not expect him to do is bring his arm up here. Why would he do that? I just hit him in the sternum, or solar plexus, right? So the next motion is body manipulation. And it's based on the very simple move that most of us know already, which is an upward block. Even though there's going to be a claw built in here, and there's a wedging motion that Mr. Parker describes here and has taught, at least after 1987, right? So we're going to use that in order to control his arm. So we did the first move, and we went bam, right here, right? His arm is probably going to drop, and I'm going to bring his arm up just like with an upward block, and then rotate my arm and turn this into a claw. Right? So let me do that from a couple of different angles. I don't know what the best angle is right now. So after doing the first strike right here, you do this number. His arm's going to come down, meet it here, but bring your hand up. Bring your hand up. Now rotate this. When you're rotating it like that, you have incredible alignment, and it's very difficult for him to do anything about that. Right? Most of you know that if you did an upward block just like this, it will be smothered. It's not strong enough. But if you have your arm up, your fist up first, elbow tucked under, you then have an enormous amount of alignment for this last portion. And that's what we're going to rely on. We're just going to take our hand and drop it down a little bit. But the way we drive all this is just like the beginning of an upward block, and then it turns over. So after we did the first strike right here, his arm probably comes down a little bit, which is actually great because it's going to come right into, up against my arm. I immediately am able to start using the body manipulation, and I'm going to turn this. Don't forget, he was trying to punch me, so he's probably going to be bending over backwards while his lower body is still here. So if I knocked you back, that would be different. We're going to assume that I did not knock him back. I bent him over. Which means, bam, that's a perfect target right here, right? So we did this number here, bam. Now I want him to bend forward because I just hit him in the floating rib. So we're going 1, 2, bam, right here, which bends him forward right into this strike right here. All right? And do that from a different angle. So 1, right here. And hitting him here, bending him forward, letting him bend, hitting him in the ribs right here from behind. Now this right here, there's a frictional pull with my right hand, right, because I was, right a moment ago, I was here doing this, right, hitting him in the floating rib from behind right here, right. My hand's coming back, my leg is going to move forward, so you're going to have to move that leg because I'm going to blast right through that, because it's right here. Just like gift of destruction. Your knee moves forward in opposition to your hands, right. Don't forget, he stepped through. So do that again. So I come right here, I come this way, right, and hit him in the ribs right here. Now this would bend him forward, and I'm letting him bend forward and come into here, hitting him again. From here, I'm going to take that leg out, and then I'm really just here to talk about the beginning part because that is the first part that is completely misunderstood. So watch it one more time. Let me cut you from that angle. Well, actually, come from this angle, and then this angle. Yeah, right. So we got 1, 2. Let him bend over. 3, 4, 5. All right. Watch it from that angle. So 1 is just the upward block right here with the heel palm to the sternum or solar plexus. Then manipulate his arm. There's a wedging motion. Mr. Parker describes this as a wedging motion right here. Hammer fist to his left floating rib. Bring this up. Let him bend forward. Hammer fist to his left floating rib. Move your right hand back. Move your knee forward. And then, all right. So I hope that helps. I didn't have time to make a full-fledged video on this, but I wanted to address this because it needs to be addressed. Thank you very much. Kenpo salute. Thank you, Mr. Perez. So once I'm here, I'm going to take this arm, I'm going to bring him to right here, and I'm going to do that hammer fist. So that was kind of quick, so see if you can follow that there. So I'm here, bam, right here, his arm comes down. I'm going to move this up like an upward block. This then continues to move like an upward block. No difference. That gives you, don't let me do it so easily. That's kind of hard to prevent me from doing. Mr. Salinas is pretty strong. He's stronger than I am. Oh, that's why I have to have better Kenpo. So after this, I'm going here, and then there's a rotating this and hammer fisting him right in that floating rib. All right. I actually prefer to grab right here with my rear arm. By the book, it's technically just a check. It's going to be a personal preference. This will be so quick you don't really have to grab, but when you're working it with a partner and you're working it slow, I would recommend to grab.
Yes, sir.
This is body manipulation. We are not going to hope his arm stays there. We're going to control him via his arm. So we hit him in the sternum, or solar plexus, I should say. That's the base technique. The original says solar plexus here, right? Never drop this arm. Bring your hand up like you're positioning yourself for an upward block. All right? You'll keep the hand open because it's going to claw in a moment. There's no reason to close it. All right? So you went after the palm strike with your block against his first punch. All right? For right now, go ahead and grab. Just do this. Now from there, just like with an upward block, bring it up, and your other hand, of course, is still grabbing. My 2 arms against his 1 arm, that gives me better chances of succeeding, right? And as I get to the end of what is really like an upward block, I'm going to, like in thrusting wedge, I'm just going to turn my forearm. So Mr. Parker literally describes that as a wedging motion. All right? What should happen to my opponent? Can you do this on me?
Yes.
Let's go slow so that way we can go, make it really easy. So this guy's coming in with a punch, boom, right here, right? And then do what I just told you to do. Bring that up. Bring my arm up. I'm not going to make it easy on you, so push my arm, lift this up high. That's how you get my arm up, because I'm bigger than you, I have good leverage. I would get it maybe even a tad bit higher before flipping this over. There you go. I'll bring it up. And then from there you go. See, I cannot bring my arm down, and now he's hitting me right in the face with his heel palm claw. Right? So if I was thinking of punching him down, my body is still moving that way, but my face is not. So I'm here. Perfect borrowed force, right? Hit me in the floating ribs right here. So now bring this arm over here though, because you want this guy to bend forward. Okay, in a moment you're going to take advantage, go behind this, and you hit the ribs from the back. It fits beautifully. Did you all catch that?
Sir.
All right, so let's do that.
Yes, sir.
So body reactions. And I kind of mentioned that earlier. Mr. Parker considered the body reactions and basically gave us the techniques as a means of reasonably predicting the body reactions. We can't be guaranteed of those reactions. The guy could fall to the ground. There could be a different body reaction. But it makes our mental selection process easier. Basically what I can do is I can do my first move and then do this next move, and he's probably going to bend over. If he does, I have a plan. All right? The base technique. And then, of course, we will eventually, with every technique, you're going to have what-if solutions too. Well, what if he retracts his arm more and does a roundhouse punch with the other arm, maybe? Right? So if you work 3 or 4 of the most common what-if situations, you have a couple of backup plans. And you only have to really figure out whether or not to continue with the original or switch to one of your backup plans once you get the reaction. The moment of the opponent's reactions are our moments of mental speed selection of whether or not we're going to abandon what we were doing, plan A, and then we'll go to something else like plan B or plan C. I hope that all makes sense. But that's not the issue right now. So you went 1, 2, rotate this over, and bam, hit him right in the floating ribs. There's several. I try it again. Boom, I'm right there, and then going to here, and then I'm going to go right to here. Right? Now watch where this arm is going to be at. Right? I'm going to hit him right here in the floating rib, and I want him to bend forward. Boom, right here. Because that way I can take this over with this hand and take advantage of the fact that he's now giving me the back of his floating ribs for the next strike. All right? So we've got 1, all right? And then I'm going to here, right? And I'm about to hit him with this hammer fist, but right here, I don't want to be hit with this arm. I want him to bend forward, so I'm making sure that I'm moving my elbow out towards my left a little bit. Can you see a little gap here? Can you see that the point of my elbow is just past his arm, right here?
Yes, sir.
Turn this way. Right, so when I hit him here, I let my elbow come past his arm a little bit, and that's my signal. All right, I'm ready for that hammer fist to his left floating rib, and I'm going to let him bend forward because now I can come from here. And that then gives me the ability to free my left arm for the next move. All right, punch right here, right over here, turning this way, making sure I'm just above his, my elbow is just past his arm right here. So when I'm hitting him, I can guide his arm towards my right, and that's when I'm releasing the hammer fist. And from there, my right hand will then continue to circle, again like in a windmill fashion, and obviously that's freeing my left arm for this strike. One more time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Oh, sorry. Okay?
Yes, sir.
There you go. Don't get that doesn't help on your face. Hey, don't want that.
So if I can't reach up here, that solves it.
That's what I kind of
Right? So that's what I meant by the height problem can be solved with that.
Okay.
Okay?
That's what I kind of thought, because I'm seeing the lead and I'm seeing the that would be my issue.
Right, absolutely.
They made it work.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
So 1, 2, 3, 4. He bends over, let him. You will probably have to practice this for a couple of days to get this coordination. From here, continue the circling action of your right arm, which is basically going to execute like a frictional pull right here. Hammer fist to his right floating ribs right here. And then as soon as you do that, actually what I'm supposed to do is now I'm going to step through and buckle the inside of his leg, because can you see how my hands and my leg are now in opposing force to each other? All right? What technique does the exact same motion? Orange belt? There was a technique where you pull your arms in and bring your knee forward.
Oh, leaping crane?
Yeah, leaping crane is an orange belt now. Gift of destruction. That's okay, it's been a long day. Mr. Salinas had his truck broken into at 3 o'clock in the morning, and he's been going for like 20 hours straight or something. That's all right. I make those same mistakes. But anyhow, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let him bend over. Continue this motion. Moment you hit right here, you can bring your right leg in for the buckle, but also you're supposed to flip this hand over after the hammer fist, and you initiate the action of your knee to his inside of his leg, which is just a buckle. Take your left hand and flip it over in an opposing force to a hammer fist to his nose. I sometimes make the mistake of calling that a raking hammer fist. It's not a rake. Only because right after, can you just you don't have to go anywhere, just hold it right there. Right after we do the hammer fist, we're going to rake his eyes, we're going to do an eye slice back the opposite direction. So we cannot call it a rake. Right? We have a tendency of going, well, I'm hitting the bridge of the nose, isn't that a rake? Well, not if I stop on the nose. Crack, pull. That's basically what I'm doing. I'm hitting with the hammer fist and then doing the outward eye slice. And don't forget, oh, you know what, you do have to put the glasses down for a moment so I can show that next. Even though we're not really going to cover the eye slices all that much. But after I was right here, and I'm doing this right here, and I'm bringing the leg in, I just turn these slightly so you can see that. You're going to have to move your leg though, because I'm going to move it, right? All right, so let's allow that to move. Right? So I'm doing this, but I'm also checking down this way, stay up. I moved you here, you're flying still, you're in mid-air kind of right here. I'm going to have to do this right here. This pulling action on my hands right here drives the knee, and it creates a check right here, with this being in opposition to it. But right to the face, and then I'm going to do that. That was kind of a handful right there too, right? So from the beginning, 1, 2, 3, 4, bend you over, go here, drive you here, hit you with the hammer fist, and then before you hit me with that, I'm going to ice slice you in this direction. First of all, it makes it harder for you to punch. Secondly, I'm right on the inside of your arm. All right? Here with the outward eye slice, right? That protects me against this arm, right? And then this inward eye slice, you know what it does? It drives that. I'm pulling myself this way into, bam, into that motion. And when I do that, there's a third eye slice. You go, why is that in there? Well, you understood this eye slice. Now I'm going to pull myself in with this one, but I'm going to also flip this back over because once I pull my left side forward, I'm just going to use what we call residual force. With my, do you see my right hand? I come this way to pull myself in, get my body going, and my hand just kind of is along for the ride. My right hand just takes advantage of that. And then I'm in a twist stance, and I want to come out of the twist stance. So I'm going to do this because it gets me out of the twist stance. All right, so these are back to 1, 2, 3, 4. Bring him across. Get behind his arm. Hammer fist to the floating rim. Now let that drive you forward as an opposing force right here. And check with your left, hammer fist with your right to the bridge of his nose. Outward eye slice, because I want you to conclude with the outward eye slice, simply because that way you didn't eat that guy's left punch.